Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Shimia,
Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Bowman.
and this is the Reteach video you should be watching on Friday, May 1st for the chapter 13, Patterns. So, boys
Yep.
and girls, Mrs. Bowman and I were talking, and we thought a little bit more about patterns. And Mrs. Bowman, do you remember what a pattern is?
I do, Mrs. Shimia. A pattern is a series of objects that repeats itself. So, boys and girls, if you remember in our workbook, we used a lot of the shapes and we had to find out what shape would come next. So, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle would come next.
So, Mrs. Bowman, I thought about patterns in my home, and I took a little walk around and found some objects that I could make some patterns with. Now, the first one is very exciting because it's M&Ms. And the second thing I found to do some patterns with was money. So let's, first of all, I want to talk to you about making patterns with money. You take a look at all this money. First of all, the first thing you need to do is to sort the money. So Mrs. Shimia would put we don't want M&Ms there, all the pennies in one spot, nickels, which are a little bigger than a penny, and the dimes in another. And so this is called a little bit of sorting. Okay, a little bit of sorting. So now I have my pile of pennies, my pile of dimes, and my pile of nickels. And I think I need to move my nickels up. Okay, so Mrs. Bowman, we're gonna have a little fun here. Mrs. Shimmy is gonna start a pattern, and I would like you to tell me what comes next. So I'm gonna start with, say I did penny, penny, nickel, penny, penny. What would come, let me line them up nicely. What would come next, Mrs. Bowman, in my pattern? So let's see, penny, penny, nickel, penny, penny. What do you think would come next?
Nickel.
Nickel, let's see. Now let's read the pattern together, Mrs. Bowman. Penny, penny, nickel, penny, penny,
nickel.
So Mrs. Bowman, what do you think would come next?
Penny.
Let's see. Wow, good job. All right, now let's take a look at another way we could make a pattern with money. What if I went penny, 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 dime, dime, Mrs. Bowman. So then I would go penny, penny. What would come next, Mrs. Bowman?
I think it would be a penny.
You're right, another penny. And then what would come next, Mrs. Bowman?
Dime.
A dime. And then another?
Dime.
Oh, okay. Now let's read this together, Mrs. Bowman. Are we ready? Penny,
ready.
Penny, penny,
penny, dime,
dime,
dime, penny,
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 dime, dime. Okay. So boys and girls, there are a lot of fun patterns that you can make with money. Now, another object Mrs. Shimia just showed you a little while ago, and this is super yummy, 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 is M&Ms. But once again, I'm going to show you how we can use M&Ms to make pennies. Now, the first thing Mrs. Shimia would really do is sort these into piles, and this is fun to do. And I know we've done this in school with M&Ms and candy and different things. We would sort them by color. So I'm going to kind of skip through that, though, and just go right into the pattern. So if I did this, Mrs. Bowman, what would come next in, well, let me fix this. Penny, green. Oh, I'm using the wrong ones. So I would like, sometimes you need to go back and think about this. Blue, blue, green, blue, blue, green, blue, blue. What do you think would come next, Mrs. Bowman?
Green would come next, Mrs. Shimia.
Okay, green. So once again, boys and girls, there are so many things in your house that you can use to make patterns. You could use your Legos. You could use silverware. But of course, we always ask Mom and Dad. How about you, Mrs. Bowman? Do you have anything at your house that you can make a pattern with?
I do. So, boys and girls, I to just get this up. You can look, I am using some fruit to do a pattern. So I have, let's take a look at my fruit. I have apples and oranges that I am using for my pattern. So my pattern is, will you say it with me, Mrs. Shimia? Apple,
Apples,
orange, apple, orange. So if I was to say what would come next, Mrs. Shimia, oh, they're rolling away. Mrs. Shimia, what would come next after my orange?
Well, I would read the pattern, apple, orange, apple, orange, apple, Mrs. Bowman.
Very, very good. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can trick you, Mrs. Shimia. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so.
Oh boy.
Can you still see my pattern?
I can, Mrs. Bowman.
All right, let's say it because I want to know what would come next in my spot. All right, say it with me. Apple, apple, orange, orange, apple, apple. What would come next, Mrs. Shimia?
Well, I would read apple, apple, orange, orange, apple, apple, orange, orange.
Very good. Excellent. Let me get it so you can see.
So glad that Mrs. Bowman has all that wonderful, healthy fruit in her house.
Very good. So boys and girls, what you need to do this week is, let me turn this around so you can see me. Give me 1 second. All right. Hi, there I am. So boys and girls, this week, what you need to do for Friday, after watching this video, you need to go around your house and find some objects that you can use to make patterns. When you make those patterns, we would like you to please take a picture of it and send it to your teacher. There will not be a workbook page for today, just some fun activities finding patterns around your house. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your teacher and have fun with this. Just like Mrs. Shimia had fun with the M&Ms and the money and sorting them and then doing different patterns. And I did with the apples and the oranges. We tried a couple different ways. So have fun with this, boys and girls, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye, friends.